It is the 18th day of December 2014. We hope you're having a lovely afternoon thus far. I'm Kamene Goro. Many thanks for joining us on Ebru African News this afternoon as we take a short look at the ins and outs of what's been happening around us. I've got quite a bit lined up for you, so let's get straight to it. We start off here in Kenya, where chaos broke out in Parliament after opposition MPs disrupted the special sitting that was supposed to deal with the Security Laws Amendment Bill. Now, Speaker Justin Muturi was forced to adjourn the sitting after MPs became rowdy, with some exchanging blows.
Honourable members,
just minutes after the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, read the Riots Act to MPs, hell broke loose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
As MPs from the opposition, determined to block debate on the security bill, broke into song and dance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Protesting a ruling by the Speaker, the debate should go on despite their pleas to be given more time. Some attempted to go for the maze, which was closely guarded by Parliament security officers. As the push and shove continued on the floor of the House, some senators were also protesting in the galleries, prompting the Speaker to ask the sergeant-at-arms to eject them.
Throw them out! Those are strangers, they must get out! Those strangers must leave the Speaker's gallery.
After it became apparent that the situation was getting worse, the Speaker was forced to adjourn the sitting for 30 minutes.
The House is adjourned, is suspended for a period of 30 minutes.
Earlier on, the Speaker had cautioned MPs against misbehaving, saying he was ready to impose harsh sanctions on anyone who tried to disrupt business.
And if the rules are breached or the situation deteriorates, determine the requisite recourse for removal of a member from the House for a certain period. Or if the situation worsens, name and suspend the offending member or members from the House altogether. Members should remember that our rules are not suspended during division. And I wish, therefore, for purposes of what we are about to embark, restate that members shall maintain order in the House during division and shall be in their designated seats and must remain seated until the results are announced.
This didn't go well with a section of MPs who said the Speaker was trying to intimidate them.
Yes, we must maintain fidelity to the rules of this House and be orderly. But this House must also be seen to be free and exercising the sovereign will of the people, Honorable Speaker. For speakers, we walk in here, this whole Parliament is surrounded by security forces, Honorable Speaker, giving an impression that we are becoming a police state, Honorable Speaker. And so when we see all signs of intimidation, members are being harassed, Honorable Speaker, to access the presence of Parliament.
Parliament, Mr. Speaker, has passed many laws, Mr. Speaker. Since we came to Parliament, we have passed over 60, almost 100 bills, Mr. Speaker. This is just any other bill, Mr. Speaker. There is nothing special about it that requires a special sitting, Mr. Speaker.
Be deleted.
The opposition has vowed to oppose the bill, even after the majority leader said their concerns have been addressed in the proposed amendment.
Five people have been arrested outside Parliament as they protested the Security Laws Bill. As Akisa Wandera tells us, a heavy contingent of anti-riot policemen was deployed in the Central Business District ahead of the debate, which was disrupted by opposition MPs. Now, the opposition had threatened to resort to mass action if the bill was scheduled for debate.
Now, we are joining you from the Harambee Avenue right outside the Parliament buildings, where protests were expected to be held today to protest against the Security Amendment Bill. Now, we've just spoken to Senator James Orengo, who is among the top leaders in the CORD coalition, which is the opposition government, and they have just recorded a statement with claims that James Orengo's life, the senator, is being threatened by one Muindi Kioko.
That this statement was sent today, probably expecting what may happen in the course of the day as we discuss this security law amendment bill.
We demand that thorough investigations be carried out. We have furnished the police with a number. If they wish to find who this Kioko man is, they can get him within the next 10 minutes.
They have claimed that House Speaker Justin Muturi is intimidating CORD legislators in the House right now as they debate on the Security Laws Amendment Bill. And they've also said there has been internal intimidation and external intimidation, saying they will not be deterred and that they will not let Kenya go back to that path.
The movement of Kenyans to assemble, that has been curtailed and is going to be stopped by this bill. And Kenyans wanted to come here and participate and be witnesses and see what their leaders are doing. But instead of being allowed, the police are mobilized from more corners of this country and brought to Nairobi. The question is, when citizens are being killed in this country, where are all these police officers? We will be keeping vigil here to give you more information on what is going on. We're going to give you stories as they unfold in Parliament and outside Parliament. Right now, the security situation is tight around the Parliament and streets around the Parliament buildings where the protest was expected to have happened. But so far, we have not seen any protesters in action. Keep with us. I am Akisa Wandera at the Parliament buildings.
Moving away from Kenya, Sierra Leone has begun house-to-house searches in the capital, Freetown, to find any hidden cases of Ebola. Now, the government has also restricted traveling between districts.
As the festive season approaches, the people of Sierra Leone have been advised to keep in mind that their country is at war with Ebola. With this, the government has launched a major operation to contain the epidemic in West Africa's worst-hit country.
I have given my approval to the National Ebola Response Center to embark on a special operation in the western area to control the current rates of infection and stop the spread of the disease in the region. This intervention is called Operation Western Area Surge, and it is to encourage people to come forward if they have fever or other symptoms of Ebola.
In the Devil Hole neighborhood on the outskirts of Freetown, 2 Ebola surveillance officers headed by motorbike to a small village after receiving reports of a suspected infection. They found 31-year-old Ibrahim Kamara being nursed by his wife. His eyes were glassy and red, a common symptom of the Ebola virus.
The area where you come from, did anyone die there?
Yes, I want you to help me. Please help me get medication for my husband.
Shortages of resources, strikes by unpaid healthcare workers and logistical challenges have dogged Sierra Leone's fight against Ebola.
So we called more than 3 times to say they have released the ambulance, and up till now we've not seen the ambulance. It's a problem, very serious problem.
The major operation forms a key part of a month-long push by the government, a British task force and international groups in the populous west of Sierra Leone, where the epidemic is raging. Their aim is to score a breakthrough against the disease within 4 to 6 weeks by encouraging members of the public to report suspected cases. The WHO figures shows that Sierra Leone has overtaken Liberia to have the highest number of Ebola cases. The virus has killed more than 6,800 people this year, mostly in Sierra Leone, Liberia and Guinea.
Still in that general region, a Nigerian court-martial has sentenced 54 soldiers to death for refusing to fight Boko Haram militants. Now, the soldiers who were found guilty of mutiny were accused of refusing to help recapture 3 towns that had been seized by Boko Haram in August.
Troops in northeastern Nigeria have complained that they are not being given enough weapons and ammunition to fight Boko Haram militants. Defense lawyer Femi Falana said the soldiers have all been accused of conspiring to commit mutiny against the authorities of 7th Division, and added that the 54 would face a firing squad while 5 others were set free.
The witness clearly stated that he saw the soldiers firing.
All the soldiers have denied the charges, and the sentence is subject to approval by senior officers. More than 2,000 people have died in attacks blamed on Boko Haram so far this year, and thousands more have been displaced by the fighting. The group has been waging an insurgency since 2009.
Wrapping us up, the United States and Cuba have agreed to restore diplomatic ties that Washington severed more than 50 years ago. Now, this comes after 18 months of secret talks between the 2 presidents, and they have now agreed to normalize their diplomatic relations.
The rocky relationship between United States and its old Cold War enemy Cuba, which has been in existence since 1961, is set to come to an end. This is after the 2 heads of states agreed to restore diplomatic ties between the 2 countries after 18 months of talks.
Today we are making these changes because it is the right thing to do. Today America chooses to cut loose the shackles of the past, so as to reach for a better future, for the Cuban people, for the American people, for our entire hemisphere, and for the world.
United States President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro agreed in a phone call on a breakthrough prisoner exchange, the opening of the embassies in each other's country, and an easing of some restrictions on commerce. Havana released a U.S. citizen, Alan Gross, who had been jailed for 5 years in Cuba, and an intelligence agent who had been held for nearly 20 years for spying for the U.S. The jailing of Gross by the Cuban government had been a major obstacle in improving the diplomatic ties. The U.S. in return freed 3 Cuban intelligence agents who had served 16 years in U.S. jails for spying on Cuban exile groups in Florida. The 3 Cubans were celebrated as heroes back home. Obama says he has instructed Secretary of State John Kerry to immediately initiate discussions with the Cuban government on the re-establishment of diplomatic relations with Cuba, which have been ravaged for over 50 years. The Republicans are, however, against the move by President Barack Obama, saying the trade embargo imposed on Cuba can only be lifted by Congress and not by the president.
So that wraps up all we had lined up for you on Ebru African News this afternoon. But tune in at 8:30 p.m. for our primetime bulletin and a much more comprehensive look at what's happening in our world today. I'm Kamene Goro. It was an absolute pleasure to have you here with us this afternoon as we took a short look at the ins and outs of what's been happening around us. For me and the entire Ebru Africa crew and staff, we're wishing you an absolutely lovely and blessed Thursday afternoon.